Ah. Oh, there you are. Hey, it's Ethan. I wanted to welcome you back to another installment of Game from a Game. So, last episode, we were just starting to get established in Minecraft and RPGinaBox, and we're going to continue doing that today. I started doing some work off camera, and I have some stuff to show you guys. So here, first, we have this deepened lake here that goes into our waterfall. Here's the big thing. I built this nice little bridge that connects to the mainland. What do we think? What do we think? You can tell that I got some new blocks because I've been exploring. So I got some new items here to spruce up the place. Also, what I've done is I started making a field here to create this sea of yellow that I'm going to have go that way. I think it'll look really nice. And there was something else that happened off camera that I totally should have recorded for. You know, first time YouTuber, I should have thought of it. Alright, guy. But I was in the middle of deepening this lake here, and over the hill came a group of raiders, some pillagers. They're totally just wailing on me, shooting at me, and there's nothing I could do because they were there. And you can see I took some... My shield's almost broken, and here's the evidence here. I got this ominous bottle, and I have this ominous banner here. So that's like exactly why I'm playing this game, for plot points like that. So that would have been perfect. So instead of like raiders, we'll have some kind of mountain monster. I think kobolds, right? Or something along those lines. So we're gonna add this over here to this wall. We'll find a better place for this, but just so I can jot down some ideas. So we have, you know, monster raid from the mountain. There we go. We already started the episode, and we have our first idea. So fantastic. We're already on track. So we're just gonna continue getting more stuff and trying to find more plot points for our game. I want to start by looking out for some more ores, and hey, you know what, buddy?
Go. There's danger.
Yeah, that's what you sound like. So here we are. This is the armadillo creature. What do we think? I'm really liking the design so far. I might tweak some things here and there as I continue playing around and working on animations, but I like it so far. I wanted to make him an NPC in the village of Hull as like a boy who cried wolf type of archetype. So I think I have an idea that'll tie nicely into the beginning of the story. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to continue in Minecraft now, and we're gonna see if we can find any more plot points. Back to you, Minecraft Ethan. Alright, I just got back from a successful mining trip, and you can see them. They're here. You guys don't want to leave me alone. I'm just gonna ignore them for now. Let me show you all the stuff I got. So that's pretty good. Okay, so I started flattening out this area over here by the wheat field to make a farm. In the farmhouse, we're gonna move those farm creatures over there to over here and put them in a more centralized area so they have more room than that little fenced off area I gave them. I've also decided for the cowardly armadillo to be the child of the people living here. So even though his parents are respected, he isn't, just because of how much he lies to everybody. Oh, creeper. Oh. So I think that'll be his role in the story, and that'll tie nicely into some major thing that gets the ball rolling in the beginning. So we'll work with this. I'm thinking I need to go down into the mines real quick. I have a mine shaft over here somewhere. I'm gonna go strip mining for some deep slate because I think it'll look nice to build with, and I like working with darker color palettes normally. All right, so we got this nice mine shaft down here. I've been working on it a little bit. I initially wanted to strip mine. Oh. Yeah, there's a nice mine shaft there. We'll explore that more. I was a one-track mine when I was working on this. I just wanted the deep slate. This goes down really far. And I have a little room down here, and I think I can start making like maybe some dungeons that'll... Yeah, start making some dungeons down here that we can use in the game. I think for the game itself, we want to go down into the mines for some reason, like into the mountain. I think that's where the Phoenix will be. Like, we need to cure somebody, and they heard that there is a cure with the Phoenix was at the bottom, and they ventured out to find him. Just trying to redo my bridge, and look at them. They don't want to leave me alone. This is the third time they've come by. All right, I got a little overzealous, and I started to do more work off camera. First, let's take a look at this idea board. We have that monster raid from the mountain. We have our cowardly armadillo character, who's the child of the farmers. We have those persistent bully characters. And then we have the looking for the Phoenix for a cure. So let me show you some of the changes that I went through real quick while I was off camera. So firstly, I changed up my bridge. I didn't like the oak before, so I changed it out for spruce, and I think it looks nicer. Got these barrels just to add some visual interest, and we're looking good. And the thing I was working on, the farmhouse, then I was going back and forth between a bunch of different ideas. This is what I landed on. Might not be what it stays. So I have a nice fenced off area to start decorating for my animals. And then on the inside here, let me show y'all. Nothing. I haven't worked on it yet. But yeah, so that's what I worked on off camera. Also new is I opened up the realm. So it's a realm now instead of a single player, and I asked my brother to join me. So he's over there, he's setting up shop, and he's gonna be helping me out every now and then while also just getting that Minecraft itch out of the way. So what I want to do next is I want to start decorating. And I was going to use that podzol, but I forgot I don't have any silk touch. So I'm going to bring that podzol in there by planting one of these bad boys. I'm kind of fill that up, get it a little messy. I think I want to add some moss. So I'm potentially looking into a moss farm, also for some bone meal. There's a cat trying to get into my room right now. I can hear her scratching. And there's a lot more work to be done. An RPGinaBox is going to be a whole nother beast entirely. So the plan there is to start adding some of those farm animals. We have the armadillo, and I want to start working on our main characters. So what I've decided is that they're going to be mole people. Little mole people. They're going to be orphans living on their own. So it's two brothers. There's Bond. He's going to be this younger brother. And then there's going to be our main character. I've decided that their father originally was a warrior or a guardsman. So our main character is going to be walking around with a stick like a spear, and he's going to be patrolling the town, which invites the bullies to start messing with him. Bond, poor little guy, he's going to be a little sickly, and I don't want to give too much away yet, but I have some plans for him, which leads us into trying to find the Phoenix. So we're looking good so far. I want to get some more done here, and then we're going to move over to RPGinaBox. I might flash some of the animals I make on screen, but we'll check it out. Alright, let's work a little on decorating this outside. So what I want mostly is some leaves and foliage. I think those are cool. I think if I just put these here and bone meal them, they start, yeah. I like these little shrubs, and we'll keep some of that like that. We'll do one more. Oh, perfect. Okay. There's the podzol. We're gonna have to come through here and kind of mess this up. Let's do that. Green. Take that. Put some dirt up. Maybe some leaves. Yeah, that looks good. And I want this one also. There we go. So what do we need for our animals? We need water, and we need some food. So I want to make a little water trough off by the side here. I didn't bring my trapdoors. Awesome. I also like making some effects like this with these guys. So we're going to add these all around here. Make it look all nice and pretty. There we go. I'll take that. So we have a nice area. I think we'll keep the trees. They look nice. We're going to bone meal a little bit more over here. And I just clean it up so it's not so messy. And a little over here. There we go. I think what I want is to separate the chickens from like the wheat eating animals. So the sheep and the cows, they're gonna go over there. And we'll make a little chicken coop over here or up in the back. We still have a lot of space to work with. We don't have to cram them all in together. All right, I think this is good for our animals here. We dirtied up the floor. We got a water trough. We got some of these firefly bushes to let off some particles. Now the next step is gonna really suck. Alright, and this is where we landed with the cow farm. We got these nice tall trees for shade. We got these podzol for, you know, what they do. Some moss just to offset the grass. Some leaves up in there just for some different. Maybe some like, that's where they're eating or something. I don't know. And we have the water trough a little bit out of the eyesight of our building here. Perfect. This will be nice for the cows. Now I want to make something for the sheep and then the chickens. I just cleared some of the area right below the cow farm for the sheep. I wanted them to be in a separate area just so it's easier for me to sort them out later. And we're going to continue to build that. Right, I made a similar area for the sheep just right below the cows. I wanted to keep them separate. Hey, hey, hey. Alright. I just moved the chickens. Here's the little chicken coop area. Looking very nice. With that, that's all of our animals relocated into a dedicated area. But I think that'll do it for the farm for now. We have our sheep, we have our cows, and our chickens. Hey, hey. So I think it's looking very good. I'm going to get rid of that area. Our plan for next episode is to start expanding whole over into that side of the mountain and the savannah. We're going to make some platforms and we're going to have it like scattered up because this is a mining town and I want it to be embedded into the mountain, with the top over there being where the village elder would be staying at, or the lord, or what have you. With that, I'm going to do just a brief montage of some areas that I found cool while mining, and that'll be all. Over to you, RPG Ethan. The story so far. We play as Maine. This is a placeholder name. A molekin that lives in the mining town of Hull, in the kingdom of Brightlandia. We live together with our brother, Bond, on the Dust Hills farm. We are orphans, with our mother never being in the picture, and our father being a guardsman who lost his life defending our town. Down on our luck, we were lucky to be taken in by our good friend Cedric's parents, who let us stay in their old barn. Cedric and his folks are armament, a rarity in these parts, characterized by their hard shells that they are able to retreat into. Maine longed to follow in his father's footsteps, protecting his town from ne'er-do-wells and evildoers alike. His brother Bond was much different, preferring to stay out of trouble and keeping his nose in a book. Cedric is a reckless yet timid boy who believes danger lurks behind every corner. Cedric and Maine are normally seen patrolling around the town. Wake up, buddy. Alright, so here we are in the inside of the barn. I've only decorated it minimally so far. I want to be working on animations for things like this chest and sitting down in the chairs, but here we are. I haven't made the outside of the farm yet, so that's still a work in progress, and this is our character here. We're going to be calling him Maine for now until I can think of a better name. But he's like just a little mole. I haven't worked on his animations yet, and I'm still working on his clothing, which is what we're going to be able to like equip and stuff. So if I press inventory and this sword here, you can kind of see that. I want to change up the equipment widget here so that there's more options, but this is just a start. But yeah, I'm going to take you guys through a couple of the things that I made so far, and then I'm going to continue working on to the introduction to my story. And just really quickly here, I wanted to showcase me building the map itself and decorating it just as I saw fit at the time. After this build, I wanted to showcase 3 of the farm animals that I made to populate the farm. So first up, we got this chick that I made, little yellow guy, and I'm going to be showcasing the big 3 animations I talked about before, which are idle, speak, and walking animations. Next up, we have the chicken. This one I played around with a lot and I textured it a little more so there's more visual interest. I actually had a lot of difficulties with trying to find this final design, but I think it came out pretty good. Then last up here, what I wanted to showcase, here's the sheep. She came out pretty big, and I know I gave her like front facing eyes, which is for predators, but I thought it looked more fantastical this way, I guess. Alright, so we're back in the game, and I worked on a couple of things that I wanted to show you in game before I explain how they work. So first we have this note here that we can click on, and it pops up with this text box so that we can read it. Next, I made it so that you can sit on the chairs. Next up here is I worked on this chest so that it can open and it shows you the inventory and the chest widget, and it closes. Then I made this staff here that you can actually pick up and you can equip. So we just take that and boom, we got a staff. Okay, so I'll explain how these work now. Alright, so first we're going to start off in map editor. So if we click on this note and we go to entity properties, we're going to go to this little tab that says thingies, and then we're going to turn on this sign here. So that's what I've done, and then I just typed in my message here. So that's how that works. The next thing on the map here that I can show you is a staff. So back in thingies again, I turned on item pickup, where I made it an item and a staff and that it could be picked up. So really quick, we're going to go over here to the items tab, and I've already made it, but I'll like mock up making another one. So you could just make the name here. We can just do test item for now. And then I made an image here where we can actually draw. So here's our test 1, and I'll just scribble something, and we can see that that would make it its test item, like the picture. If we go back into the staff here, what I've done is that I've turned on the equipment, equipable. I made it a weapon, and then I set the object model to the staff that I have in the model maker. So here's the staff here. And in order to actually make it attached to my character, what I've done is I've made this attach point here, which I've named, let's see, where is it at? Right here, right hand. And that's what matches here on our main character. So he'll also have an attach point here, and that's called right hand. We're gonna change that later, but just so I can show you guys something, that's what I have. So next up, we're gonna go to the chair and how we made it into an actual thing you can sit on. So again, in that thingies tab, I went all the way down here to sittable, and then there's the sit animation, which I've set to sit. And I bet you can't guess what this attach effect is called. It's also called sit. So just like before with the staff, I've created another sit attach effect on our character here, but this time I've attached it to the bottom, so that's where he'll be sitting. And I made a little animation so that when he's sitting down, he'll just start blinking. And it's the same concept of what I used in the bed. So here on the bed, there's lay instead of sit. And that's because I wanted to make a separate animation for it, where you can see he has like that little snot bubble while he's sleeping. Me, 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 me. And lastly here, we have the chest. So this one's not too difficult. Again, it is a thingy. So we have item container. So I turn that on. And what I've done is I've actually made a script for that. So if we go into the script editor, we have the chest open and chest close. Now all I wanted them to do in the open and close scripts was make an I wanted it to play animation here. We set the entity to self because we set it to the chest itself. And then we have the animation name here to open, and then subsequently close here. I then made animations called open, where it opens, and then close. And there it is. So in order to actually get the chest to like stay open like that, what I've done is I went to the animations tab. So if we go to open here, and it'll say type right here. So before we would do ping pong or loop. Instead, what we're gonna do here is clamp, so that when we do the animation, it'll clamp into place. And it's the same thing for the close animation as well. So that's also clamp. So on the open script, what I've told the chest to do is it needs to open when the character opens it. And then vice versa, when the chest closes, it'll run the close script. So that's how the chest works here. Right. What you just saw there was my intro cutscene. I'll go through all the scripting that I did to make that work, but there's just a couple more things I wanted to show on this map before we go. So firstly, we got the sheep. It has a little bit of dialogue. It has a nice little portrait here. You'll notice that I set the sheep's behavior to actually follow me. So now we're gonna just pretend like we're leaving right now. We're gonna see once we hit this exit, we get this that pops up. I set it that way just so we wouldn't leave without looking at a few different exposition things. So that one said that Bond would have left us a note somewhere, so we're gonna read this note. And I've changed it a little bit. I'll show you what I did back in the map editor. But so we read the note and we should be able to leave, right? No. Yeah, it says here that we shouldn't leave without the trusty staff. So we're gonna go back here and we're gonna collect that staff real quick. And I just wanted to make sure, like, before you left the building that you had some of the items I thought would be necessary for the game. So here we go. And there, we can see that it worked. So normally if that happened, because we fulfilled both of those prerequisites, we would be able to leave this map into the actual map. And I'll show you how we did that real quick. So first I'll run down the changes that I made real quick. So here to the note, instead of having it as a sign thingy, I've made it a quick script here so that when you interact with it, it'll display that message, and then it'll set the entity property of the entity exit to true. And we're gonna go through that, and I did the same thing for the staff. So here's the entity exit. So let me show you in the actual script editor so you can see a little better. So what I've done is I've set the exit to have two different properties. And these properties I put a boolean, which basically means, here, let me show you. Here's a boolean. And I think of it as like an on-off switch. So false is off, true is on. So since it's off, I set it here. So if it's false, our property, it'll display this message. And then after we fulfill that, it should go down to here. I think you can, yeah, it'll go down to here like that. So then after you do the note, if you don't have the staff already, it'll say this and this message. And then once you fulfill both of these, it'll go down to this else statement, which is our display message worked, which would normally teleport us to a different map. So that's how that worked. So now we're gonna go really quickly through the intro cutscene and the scripting I did for it. So firstly, I made if we go to general, the startup script is now this intro, and that's because this is what I want to load up with. So we load inside the barn, and I lock our player's movement so we aren't able to move. I did something a little tricky here. So this one over here is an actual bed with a sittable thingy, but this one I made a vehicle. And I did that so that we can actually enter the vehicle here without having, because I couldn't figure out how to do it if it was just like a sittable. So we have you enter the vehicle here, and then we disable the action exit vehicle so you can't get out, and how to rotate us so that we were actually facing on the bed the correct way. I then locked our camera to move us into a closer shot, so like over here, rather than like kind of zoomed out. I wanted us to be more in so you wouldn't see the sheep over here walking in. After that, I applied a different lighting preset. So if we look here, this is the normal lighting. If I go to map, here we go. If I go to map properties, over here we have the normal lighting preset, and I messed around with the lighting here. So I'll show you what it shows up as. So I just put it as dark, and it just darkens everything by a little bit. I then made this new effect, the ZZZ, just to make it look like we're sleeping. And then I have it set to a dialogue. So this is something new. We have this dialogue editor, and let me make a test one so we can see what's actually going on here. So we can see there's all these different nodes here. And the ones I was really messing around with right now are the player node, the NPC node, and the scripting node. So if we go back to the intro, we can see the blue is the player. So this is what we would be saying. I gave it a custom portrait so that it wouldn't have our eyes open. And I'll show you about portraits in just a second here. So I have all this dialogue and I scripted it with different things that I wanted to happen throughout the dialogue so it would flow. And then I mentioned earlier that I had this vehicle. Right behind here is the actual bed, so that when you go back into the bed, it'll be like normal and it won't be that vehicle. And I have that right here at the end here. So we're gonna go through portraits really quick. I'm gonna use the chicken as an example because I don't have a portrait for it yet. So usually I like to just put it in a nice area like this, and there's this button up here. And we click it and we can take a portrait. We can press accept here. And that'll be like when we're talking, it'll pop up with the portrait on the bottom left. And then if we were to name our character here, so put in chicken, oops. Put in chicken like that, the name that would pop up as this character would be chicken. What I had to do with the sheep though, because it's an NPC, just like I would with the chicken, is I did a custom name here and then a custom portrait where I manually put in the portrait. Normally it would be automatic, especially for like the player. So you can see it's here default, but while our character is sleeping, I had it as a sleeping character model. And I think that's a good stopping point for the episode. Really quick, I'm just gonna do a quick time lapse of the start of the Dust Hills Farms. We got a lot done today. We got the intro done, we got some characters designed, we did some scripting, we got some dialogue, and I wanted to work on this bit by bit, so I'm gonna continue working on it, but this is a good place to stop for now. All right, we made it to the end. Thank you so very much. If you stuck around to this point, please like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Let me know any feedback that you guys have. I've tried to make this episode a lot better in terms of editing and timing, but I want to continue improving. I have a lot of plans coming up, so I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.